Now, to keep going through the Biden wins, it looks like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has a proposal for limiting bank overdraft fees. So for decades, large financial institutions were able to issue highly profitable overdraft loans, which garnered them billions of dollars in revenue annually. So this is anytime you go and pay with your debit card and you accidentally pay more money out with your debit card than you had in your bank account. So the bank loans you that money. If your checking account reaches below zero, it loans you that difference and then charges you a fee for that loan after you, or when you pay it back, right? So that fee is extremely expensive. People don't really think about it, but we need to put it in perspective. So the overdraft fee creates $10 billion in assets for these financial institutions. No, I'm sorry. That's incorrect. The proposal will only be affected on financial institutions that have over $10 billion in assets.
Yes.
Which covers about 175 of the largest depository institutions in the country. Now, each one of these overdraft fees is normally $35. Now, what's so crazy about this is the most common amount of money to be overdrafted is $26. So if you're only down $26 out of your checking account, and then your fee is $35 for the overdraft fee, that's an annual interest rate.
I don't think you've said this yet. It's $35 per day.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know if everyone knows that. I've overdrafted a few times before, so I know that. But it's not $35 a year. It's not $35 a month. It's $35 every day.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's why the equivalent interest rate is 16,000%.
16,000% interest rate.
Yeah.
Now, the reason they're allowed to do this is because overdraft loans have not been forced to abide by standard lending laws. Standard lending laws say you have to show the interest rate at the and disclose it before the loan is made, right? So the person could have the option or whether or not to consent. But these overdraft fees are hidden. You don't even know they exist, really. You think $35, it's like, oh, whatever. That's a 16,000% interest rate.
I'm going to do something that defends these banks a little bit, just in talking about the history of the overdraft fee.
Okay.
Because right now, you look at this and it's just like that's the most predatory thing ever. But actually where it came from is when people still used checks.
Yes.
And they were trying to prevent people from being embarrassed by having a check bounce when they didn't have the money that they expected to have in their account, right? And so they were like, okay, we'll just allow you to make that payment, make sure that check doesn't bounce, and then we'll charge you a fee for it so that you can pay us back, right?
Yeah.
But now that checks aren't really a thing, it is just predatory.
It's incredibly predatory. I mean, think about it this way. Every time you deposit money into a bank, you're basically loaning the bank money. The bank is going to take that money and invest it all ways to Sunday. If you put your money in a checking account, what's your interest rate? 0.01%. If you put your money in a savings account, okay. So when you loan the bank money, the bank gives you 0.01% interest. When you ask a loan from the bank with an overdraft fee, they charge you 16,000% interest.
Yeah.
So that's the dichotomy of power that we're dealing with here. And they do it because people don't know. People have no idea, and they take advantage of our ignorance, of the working class's ignorance, and it's ridiculous. So what the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is proposing is to limit that fee specifically so it's only as much as the bank needs to recoup their cost. And it's capped at $3. A $3 cap to the overdraft fee will help 23 million households and will save American consumers on average $3.5 billion. That's how much money is being saved by this overdraft fee cap.
Yeah. I heard that last year revenues for banks were $8 billion
From the overdraft
fees. Yeah. It's insane.
No, it's just insane. And it's not fair that such a...
The punishment is not fit for the crime.
And it's almost like a nickel and dime scheme where they're just trying to get you where you're weakest, right? Where you're the least knowledgeable.
Totally.
And it's just a total fraudulent fucking business model.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I overdrafted, I didn't know what was coming at all, right? My account went low and I was trying to transfer money in from another place, but maybe it took a day or two for it to transfer, and I just got hit with it. I'm like, oh, I had no idea this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's like shouldn't like it be like a very, very clear option and to check the box on whether or not you can or can't overdraft when you open up a checking account, right?
Exactly.
So like it's just a whole fucking nightmare. And so this will likely go into effect on October 1st, 2025. I want to give a shout out to Sherrod Brown, the senator from Ohio. He is a leading Democrat on the Senate Banking Committee, and he has been lobbying for this change for years. For years, he's been fighting for this. And finally, we see some movement. Sherrod Brown is a very competitive Senate race in Ohio. So if you like this type of action, go check him out online. Now, I want to give the opposite side of this. Republicans are not happy about this. Republicans have been against the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau since its founding in the early years of the Obama administration. During Trump's time in office, he wanted to cut the CFPB by about $150 million, which is a quarter of its budget. He wanted to totally kneecap it. During his time, his appointees to the head of the CFPB dealt out punishments that were as little as $1. Because they are an executive branch, they have to enforce the law, but they get to decide what the penalty is. So they were very lenient with the penalties. So they were just totally, just in the pockets of financial interests. They just didn't care about enforcing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau rules. And House Republicans today are upset by this change. That we have one Republican lawmaker saying that the proposed rule issued today by the CFPB would undermine the Bureau's consumer protection mission. The Biden administration's attempt to mandate one-size-fits-all consumer financial products and services diminish financial institutions, limit customer choice, stifle innovation, and ultimately raise the cost of banking for all consumers. I don't see how this stifles innovation or really limits customer choices. I don't really know where he's going with that one. Maybe raising the cost of banking for all consumers is feasible because like the banks are losing out on $3.5 billion in revenue. So like they now have to raise some costs in other areas to capture a little bit of that $3.5 billion they're missing out on. But still, all that's doing is transferring the burden from the least the ones with the least amount of money who are overdrafting to everyone who's utilizing the services.
Yeah. I see the idea of stifling innovation because with financial service products, really, it's just like, what do we as the bank give you? And then what, under certain conditions, do you have to give us?
Yeah.
So like it is restricting that bubble to a certain extent, but I do think it's a specific enough regulation that this is targeting more predatory action than actual innovation. And I also think it helps that like if banks want to set up a kind of financial instrument or a different kind of account where that does kind of require interest payments at this level for specific instances of lending, they will be able to do that still, right?
Yeah.
They can set those up differently and they will have to be straightforward about it.
Yep.
So I agree. I think I know where they're coming from, but to me it sounds like they're speaking like puppets with the bank's hands up their ass.
That's exactly how it sounds. And that's what it looks like. I mean, I don't know anybody who likes paying their overdraft fee or thinks that their overdraft fee is in the right spot. Mm-hmm. If anything, I bet you it encourages innovation because the banks have been making easy money off of this overdraft fee for too long. It's been predatory, and now they'll have to think up of fun new ways to make money that will hopefully be more beneficial towards consumers. So maybe it'll increase innovation. Who knows?
I doubt it, but maybe. We're talking about banks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.